I'm Chris, you're watching FRAG-MENTAL. In today's video I'm talking about the brand new release from Givenchy. It's Gentleman EDP Boisée. Any good? Let's find out. Generally, I hear good things about the Gentleman line from Givenchy. At the moment, I think there are 4 in the line, correct me if I'm wrong, but we had the original Eau de Toilette, and then there's the cologne, which is also an Eau de Toilette concentration, but it's just a cologne style. And then in 2018, we had the EDP, which was a very thick, dense, vanilla heavy fragrance, which was loved by a lot of people. So because that one got a lot of attention, even just recently I've seen Dallas has put a very positive video, Ashton from Gent Sense put a positive video out about the 2018 release. So I feel like this one has arrived with quite a bit of anticipation, people hoping it's going to be as good as the previous release. So let's dive in. Notes in this one are black pepper, coriander, geranium, iris, cedar, cacao pod, sandalwood, patchouli and woods. As with the Dior Homme line, some of the Valentinos, the Prada L'Homme line, this one is based around iris. So all the fragrances within this Gentleman lineup are based around iris, some more than others. The previous release, the Eau de Parfum, the iris wasn't so strong in that one. It was detectable, but it wasn't as strong as in something like Dior Homme Intense, where the iris is quite prominent. Too prominent for some people. Personally, I love it. I really enjoy the iris. I think it just adds this great kind of assertive feel to Dior Homme Intense. So on paper, I thought this one was going to smell closer to DHI than the previous EDP release, because it has the iris, it has the cacao, and we know that DHI has some cacao in there. On paper, it looked like that, but on the test paper, it didn't smell like that. It didn't smell as strong as Dior Homme Intense. It wasn't as assertive, not as gentlemanly. So when I sprayed this on paper in store, I got a little bit excited because even though it didn't remind me of Dior Homme Intense, it was really nice. It's got some spices in there which give it a lovely kind of effervescent, lively opening, and then you do get the iris straight away. The iris is definitely more prominent than in the 2018 EDP. And this beautiful opening lasts for about 20 minutes, and then the spices start to fade away. Unfortunately for me, so does the rest of the fragrance. I sprayed this about 5 minutes ago and it's okay, but it's even now a skin scent. As I'm wafting my hand down here, it's not really projecting up at all. Unfortunately, I purchased this based on the tester strip in the store. I was lured in by the top notes of the tester. I know, I'm bad, I'm naughty, I shouldn't have done it. But I bought it based on that. And as soon as I started wearing this on skin, unfortunately, my excitement subsided. I was hoping to get more cacao from this. I don't really pick up on that. There's patchouli in here. I'm not really picking up on much patchouli at all, so I think it's just more of a supporting note. I was really hoping to get a nice kind of rich chocolate vibe to balance nicely with the iris in here. And if anything, I think the iris could be even more prominent. Even if you're not an iris lover, I think it could still be pushed a little bit more in this fragrance. So then as it dries down, like I said, we lose those spices and it becomes this kind of iris woody scent, but it's just not that interesting. It's fine, it's pleasant, it's okay, but it's just not doing anything that is terribly different at all. It's not as good as the 2018 release. It doesn't have the rich density that fragrance has. It's not as complex, it's not as nuanced, it's not as warming. I'd say this probably is a bit more versatile than the 2018 EDP because of the vanilla in there and the balsam. It's more of a autumn winter scent, so this is definitely more versatile, but it was just absorbed by my skin and just didn't project at all. If I'm honest, I was pretty disappointed with the way this one turned out, and this is just on my skin. Maybe I'm unlucky, maybe I'm the unlucky one that this won't work for, so I'd love to hear from all you guys if it works for you. But for me personally, scent wise it's alright, but performance wise, disappointing. The first time I sprayed this one on, I was testing it against all the other gentleman fragrances in the line, and I was very surprised at how quickly I lost this one on my skin. Even the Eau de Toilette, even though it's more generic and I don't quite like the scent as much as this one, as the Eau de Toilette, it still lasted longer. The cologne, which is another Eau de Toilette, lasted longer than this one, and the 2018 EDP certainly lasted much longer. I was hoping that I just hadn't sprayed enough on my skin, which is why it faded so quickly. So the next day, I drowned myself in this. I just sprayed everywhere. I must have done maybe 20 sprays, even on clothes as well. And then about 40 minutes after that, 40 minutes to an hour, I was in the car with my wife, and she was sat obviously really close, and we're in this contained environment, and I just said to her, you know, are you picking up on my scent today? And she had a little sniff and she said no, that she wasn't getting anything, and she smelled in even closer to me and she still wasn't really getting anything. I'd say she's maybe like half a meter away at this point. She smelled right on my skin, and she said that she did detect something on my skin, but not very much, quite faintly. I think she thought it was quite a pleasant scent, as I do. First of all, if I've spent money on a fragrance, I want to smell it. I want to get lovely wafts for at least 6 hours at the minimum, if not longer than that. If I'm losing something after 30, 40 minutes, it's just not working for me. And the other thing that I also like is if my wife can smell it, or if people around me can smell it and they find it pleasant. I'm not saying that I would like people to give me compliments, but if I ask people if they're picking it up in the air and they're not, then again, it's not really working for me. So for both those reasons, the performance for me was just very lackluster. I wouldn't say lackluster actually, for me it stinks. Something that is maybe an advantage to this fragrance is its versatility. Maybe. I feel like it is quite versatile because you could wear it all year round and you could wear it in any situation. You know, you could wear this in the office, and because the projection is so minimal, then people aren't going to smell it. So if you want to work in an office and you want to wear a scent but you're not that bothered about people really picking up on it, then this one is probably the one to go for. People will have to work hard to pick up on this scent, and let's be honest, people working in an office are already working hard enough, so they don't want to have to work any harder to try and pick up your scent. I feel like, looking at the notes in this one, the cacao, the iris, the woods, that it should have been a heavier fragrance. It should have been a fragrance with more density, that had better performance, probably an autumn winter scent based on these kind of darker, heavier notes. But it's very wearable in the summer. In fact, maybe the summer is the time to wear this when the skin is a little bit warmer. Maybe it is just going to assist with some projection. But then even the scent isn't as good as the cologne. It's not as good as the 2018 EDP. So that, by the way, is the best of the bunch for me. The 2018 EDP, it's that vanilla heavy scent with a little bit of iris. It just seems to balance really well. It is more of an autumn winter scent, but in terms of how interesting that one is to me, in terms of its nuances and its complexity and its performance, the 2018 EDP is a far superior fragrance, in my opinion, to this new release. I also prefer Gentleman Cologne to this one. I love how refreshing that scent is with its citruses and its woods, really invigorating, lovely kind of modern twist on a cologne. And even though that is a different concentration, that's an Eau de Toilette, that for me has better performance than this one. I do prefer the scent of this to the original Gentleman Givenchy because I find that a little more generic. It's not that interesting to me, but the performance of that one is better than this one as well. So out of all of the four in the line, in terms of performance, this one is the worst one for me. Personally, with this one, I was hoping for a really nice gentlemanly fragrance that had a nice assertive quality to it as well, with that iris and with that cacao. It doesn't really hit the spot for me. If you want a fragrance that ticks all those boxes, you want to be looking at Dior Homme Intense. While I was testing this, I sprayed Dior Homme Intense on my arm here. I've got it sprayed here, I've got this sprayed here, and compared to this, DHI is going gangbusters on here. It's just doing everything I want it to do. I've got that cacao, I've got the iris, I've got good projection. It has that assertive quality. So for me, Dior Homme Intense would be the one to go for, easily, over this one. Okay, so that about wraps things up. I'm disappointed. When I smelled this one in the store on the paper, I was feeling quite positive about it and I was looking forward to filming a positive review. I always like to put forward recommendations of things that I like, but unfortunately, it just didn't work for me. If you've tried this one, let me know. Does it work for you? Maybe it's just my skin that sucks. I hope it is. I do hope that this fragrance works for you, because we want good fragrance releases. We don't want these average, lackluster fragrance releases that have awful performance. In an ideal world, every fragrance release would be a good one, and I wish I could stand here and give you positive reviews on these releases, but unfortunately it's just not happened with this one. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to check out my new podcast. Well, I say new, we've been doing it for around 5 weeks now. There's currently 5 episodes released. I'm doing that in collaboration with Steve from Frags to Riches. We're really proud of it. We're getting some good download numbers. It's a little bit different because Steve is based down in Cambridge, I'm up here in Yorkshire, so we're not with each other when we're recording the podcast, but we want to try and make it seem like it is, and we're really pleased with the kind of quality that we've got. We're just talking about the fragrances we've been wearing, mini reviews on fragrances, all sorts of stuff about the fragrance community, any kind of gossip, YouTube videos, Instagram accounts that we've been following. So do check that one out. It's just a bit of relaxed banter. We hope it's quite funny. We hope it's informative. We'd love it if you could join us for that. I'll leave a link to the podcast below this video. So if you feel like that's something you're interested in, maybe on the drive to work, then we'd love to have you as a listener. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for watching. Remember, keep tuning into FM and keep smelling good.